2026 is basically halfway over, and we still don't really know all of Nintendo's hand. Now, history has showed us if you are having trouble putting out a new game, well, Nintendo, you could always remake Star Fox 64. That's right, 2026 seems to be the year of remakes. Could that be including a potential Pokemon remake? Let's talk about it.
Bros and badges, gotta collect them all.
What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another wonderful episode of Bros and Badges. Today, we are talking about whether or not 2026 is shaping up to be the year of remakes for Nintendo. As most of you know, hopefully, Star Fox has been reintroduced to the gaming sphere, not in a new game, but instead in another remake of Star Fox 64. Now, because of that news breaking, and certain people online who have broke that news, like Nate the Hate, we kind of have a good gauge on whether or not other theories are true, and it does seem like the rumor of a Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time remake is going to come. Whether that is this year or not, we don't know, although the leaks do seem to say that it is this year. And again, after Star Fox, I think there are some legs here. So today we just kind of want to discuss, is this something that they're doing on purpose? Did they look at 2026 and say, yeah, we're going to remake some games that year? And what is in store for that? So Zach, we are now sitting on the other side of a Star Fox announcement. Both you and I have been very excited for this potential game. And now that it has been officially announced as a remake of Star Fox 64, clearly the greatest game of all time, apparently. Where are you at? How are you feeling about remakes? How are you feeling about Star Fox in general? Do you think that this is actually what they're trying to do this year?
Yeah, man. I mean, first of all, I'll just say that game looks awesome. I'm very excited about it. You know, there's been a lot of, debate back and forth about the designs, of Star Fox and his team. I know his name is Fox McCloud, but I'm still going to call him Star Fox, whatever. The Star Fox team. I know that's how that works. I played 64. It was one of my favorite games.
He's played it all 10 times.
To be honest, I've only played it a couple times. I just know that there are tons of remakes of the game. I mean, Star Fox 64 was literally a remake of Star Fox 1 and 2 on the SNES. And then you've got Star Fox Zero, which is just a retelling of the same storyline. You've got the remake on the 3DS. I don't know what it is. They can't escape remaking this game. It's like hilarious. But at the same time, if they're going to remake a game, why not remake one of the best games of all time? And, if it ain't broke, don't even remotely try to fix it, I guess. Just redo it slap a new skin on it and add some cutscenes. But I'm very excited for this game. I can't wait to play it. I pre-ordered it already. I think remakes are great if they're done well. I think this is already one of the most impressive remakes we've seen Nintendo ever do. Honestly, like it really truly does look like a from the ground up remake. It's not just like, oh, we slapped a new coat of paint on it. We updated, made it 1080p and called it remake. No, this looks really good. And I feel like if they're giving the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time remake the same treatment that we just saw for Star Fox, that makes me a lot more excited about that game, which is another game that we've seen remade already on the 3DS. So if pattern follows suit, I'm excited for that game. I never played it on the 64. To be honest, but I did play it on the 3DS. It's a phenomenal game. I can't wait to play it in hopefully new graphic style, like a new engine, updated visuals, all that stuff, especially if it is a ground up remake like this Star Fox is looking to be. I'm very excited about it. But is this their plan? You asked that, and I think that's a great question, and it's mainly what I wanted to talk about. Why is this the year of remakes? Why are these the two big tent poles that we know about? I do think there's a super strong chance Ocarina is coming at the end of this year, as Nate the Hate has said, since Star Fox panned out. Although I will say everybody's giving Nate his flowers, and they should. I mean, he was right. He was right about a new Star Fox game coming. I think no one's really talking about this, but at least his implication was that it was a brand new game. It wasn't really that it was a remake. So yep. I still think there's a little bit of okay, well, I don't know. Maybe, honestly, and I'll give him this, maybe he didn't really want to come out and just say, hey, there's a remake of Star Fox 64 and there's a remake of Ocarina, because he maybe didn't want to give the full slate. That gets a little less target off his back in case Nintendo is angry about him spoiling their load. So, I mean, regardless, he was right. There is a new Star Fox game. new old Star Fox game. I kind of wish that it had been stated that way initially, because then once it dropped, it would be less of a like, oh, well, this isn't a new game, this is just 64 all over again, which initially when I saw the trailer was kind of my reaction. It made me a little disappointed, but the more I thought about it, the more I was excited, just because, again, it's one of the best games ever made. Why not put a new coat of paint on it and give us a chance to play it again and add some dogfights online? It's going to be great. I'm stoked. Joe, you and I are going to play this. It's going to be awesome. But was this their plan? I want to get back to that. I don't think it was their plan necessarily to be like, yeah, let's make 2026 the year of remakes. I think it happened because their slate is just not strong enough. What do I mean by that? We know this famously before the Switch 2 got announced, that like Nintendo behind the scenes was saying the reason they were waiting to drop a Switch 2 was because they wanted to make sure that their launch lineup was stacked. And a lot of people were like, what do you mean? Like, you don't have games ready for the Switch 2? And like a lot of people were like poo-pooing that. They're like, nah, like Nintendo's got plenty of games. They're going to have a new 3D Mario. It's going to be awesome, all this stuff. And then, I mean, when it dropped, I think that news became pretty apparently true. Like, yes, Mario Kart World is a big game. Yes, Donkey Kong Bonanza is a big game. But once that holiday lineup hit, those definitely don't feel like launch title releases. Like Kirby Air Riders, Metroid Prime 4, sure, could have been. I think they hoped it to be kind of like this big thing that everyone had been waiting for a long time for. It didn't come out to quite as stellar reviews or reception or definitely sales, which we just found out from a recent investor meeting that game did not cross 2 million sales. And so, yeah, it didn't perform super well. I'm just saying mainly like those weren't like really like, oh, like we've been planning this giant Switch 2 release for a super long time. They kind of felt like mid-tier games, and seeing the launch lineup this year, I feel like it's kind of similar too. Like we really don't know about a ton coming. If I had to guess, I think that the remake thing is like they knew they needed to get some big tentpole games out. And they didn't really have the development time to do that while they're working on the new actual giant open world Zelda game, while they're working on the next big giant Super Smash game. And so I think that if I had to guess, Star Fox doing a remake of that was a bit of an easier pull, an easier haul. And then remaking Zelda was also an easier pull, easier haul, because they could outsource that to another studio. They've got the story, they've got the content, they already know they're happy with it. They can have other studios help work on it. I would assume that Monolith Soft's probably helping with the Ocarina of Time remake, if I had to guess, because they do a lot with Zelda recently. So yeah, it just makes sense. I'm not sure which developer is working on Star Fox, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is one of their other developers who worked on that game, because it's a little easier for them to outsource a remake. Not outsource entirely. It's not like Nintendo isn't working on it. I just mean they can take more of a leadership role, whereas the other studio takes more of the actual hands-on development of the game. That's what I would assume. And Joe, I think Pokemon also has a spot in this talk, because would it be so crazy to think that maybe also Pokemon has a remake coming this year? There has been a lot of speculation online about a black and white remake, taking us back to Unova. Joe, what do you think about this remake rumor? Because I wanted to throw this in the list, and if we truly do get a remake of those games, then yeah, this is 100% the year of remakes. Is that the best move for Nintendo? I don't know. It's not the most exciting, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If this is our giant holiday lineup, but hey, I mean, it's better than nothing.
I mean, what's interesting with Pokemon and Nintendo in general is that even though Pokemon is a major seller for all Nintendo systems, always has been, always will be. I mean, it is the largest franchise. We have a whole channel dedicated to it. For some reason, there does seem to be less interlaced planning when it comes to Nintendo's first party releases and Pokemon. I feel like they tend not to worry too much about stepping on each other's shoes because they know Pokemon's like a guaranteed seller. But it is interesting to see that Nintendo just isn't making a lot of noise right now. And weirdly enough, Pokemon isn't really either. I think that we're like kind of blinded by the fact that we had so much Pokemon content up front, especially, March to now. That I think we kind of forget that the only thing we have to look forward to in the future is Winds and Waves, which has an ambiguous 2027 date attached to it. We don't even know if that's early or late. Most likely it's going to be like a summer release. So it is interesting to think that both of these companies are completely silent. Now, when we talk about any game remakes, Pokemon is just a natural contender for this conversation because they've been doing remakes since the dawn of the conception of Pokemon, or of video games in general, getting remade. I mean, Fire Red and Leaf Green were largely ahead of the curve when it came to remakes. Those were released in the early 2000s easily. I mean, this is right off the heels of Ruby and Sapphire. So, and we've gotten into the groove. We always knew we would get a new generation. Then we would get a generation remake of whatever order it was. So obviously with Fire Red and Leaf Green, that was a Gen 3. Gen 4, we got Heart Gold and Soul Silver. So we were following this very, very well. And then somewhere along the way, it seemed that when we stopped doing like these third, larger deluxe versions of Pokemon games, something like an Emerald or a Platinum, we started to see a shift in how the timeline for Pokemon works. We're no longer getting a new mainline Pokemon game every 3 years, and then the 2 years in between we're getting a remake and a deluxe version. That's no longer what they're doing. Now we have DLC introduced into Pokemon games. We have the Legends games, which are, as we like to coin them, sideline games. Like these are games that are considered mainline by Game Freak, but clearly by the consumers, we don't see them really as mainline. So it puts the remakes in a very interesting place, and especially coming off the heels of Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, where it was the first time we saw Game Freak give a mainline based game to a company, not just for like some asset creations. They weren't just helping out. They were actually in charge of putting that game out, and the reception was mixed, to say the least. So I think it puts us in a really interesting situation because we know Unova should be next, right? We are on Gen 5 for the remakes. It makes perfect sense for this to be the case, but we haven't seen a remake in a while. And these Black and White remake rumors have been going on for as long as we got Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. So
as long as Black and White have been around, they've been talking about
literally. They were like, hey, in Gen 9 or 10, the remake for this should come.
They better do a remake.
Yeah, I can't. Exactly. So I think
the game's out. I can't wait for this game to be remade. I'm loving playing it.
Yeah. You're like 3 gyms in and you're just like, oh, the remake is going to hit so hard.
Dude, did you pick up that new Black and White Pokemon game? Oh no, I'm waiting for the remake.
Waiting for the remake. So, having that response in 2010, boy, do I have news for you. Yeah. So I think it's in an interesting spot where, like, I think Pokemon games have been very pattern based, and I think the fan base has picked up on that. There's a lot of recognition for that pattern, but I don't think that pattern exists as much. The only reason I would say there's some legs to this theory is, again, that big open slate. We don't know when Winds and Waves are coming. And now, as we spoke about in an earlier video, the mobile version for Pokemon Champions is looking to come out in July of 2026.
June or July.
Or June of 2026. One of the two, whatever. It's looking like it's going to be a lot earlier than anyone thought. So what's happening up until Winds and Waves? I can't imagine Pokemon is just going to be dead silent, especially given that Winds and Waves been in development for so long. I don't think they need all hands on deck. So it's interesting, and I would love a Black and White remake. It's in Unova, which is based on New York. I'm from New York. I would love to see it realized in a beautiful 3D, hopefully not chibi art style. Maybe we could even finally see the 2D HD. I don't know. Who knows? I know Game Freak doesn't listen, but it would be so sick.
I'd be into it.
And it would be honestly, it would be really easy for them to churn those out because they can just start making those assets, and those assets for the Pokemon could exist for every remake thereafter, Although I will say the next game in the series would be X and Y, which already didn't have that art style anymore. So yeah, I guess they would only be able to use it for this one. But regardless, I think that's where I stand with it. I think there is a possibility. I would love to see it. It would also, again, funnily enough, fit really well in this year that we are seemingly getting a bunch of remakes in. But Zach, I'm going to kind of let you finish us off here. How do you feel about it? Do you think a Black and White 2 or a Black and White remake is warranted? Do you want to see that, or do you just want them to just bunker down and finish up Winds and Waves, so it's the best Pokemon game ever.
I mean, I think in terms of what I want, I would love to see a Black and White remake. Absolutely. Like, I'm someone who likes the yearly Pokemon game drops, you know? Mm-hmm. I also am someone who doesn't like the yearly Pokemon game drops when they're not ready, you know? So, like, if you can give me a game and it's ready and there's not a ton of, honestly, hopefully no bugs, you know, but not a ton of bugs and not a bunch of graphical glitches, and it looks like a finished game, then heck yeah, I'm super down to replay Black and White. I would love to remake, and it would be even cooler if it was like a combination of Black and White 1 and 2. Like if they could give us that, like where it's like almost like both games in one, like that would be awesome. But I kind of want to end it by giving a rating to what we think the actual chances of each of these games coming are. Star Fox, this one's really tough. I'm gonna have to go with 100%.
I was thinking more like 60.
60%, yeah. I'd say a 60% chance that game actually comes out. I know they announced it, but I don't think it's coming out. I think it's smoke and mirrors.
A Dire Claw 30% chance.
Dire Claw 30% chance, making it 100% chance of paralyzing, poisoning, or putting your Pokemon to sleep. We love that. Love that. Thank you, Sneasler. And then I'd say for Ocarina of Time, I think a 90% chance of this game coming out this year or 2027. Because I don't know, something about it coming this year still feels a little weird to me for some reason. I'm going to say, an 80 to 90% chance of it coming this year or next year. And I'm going to say a 70% chance of it coming this year for Ocarina of Time. And then I'm going to say, at least in terms of this year, Black and White, sorry, I'm giving that like a 10% chance. I don't really think it's coming, if I'm being completely honest. I think that might be one of those leaks rumors that's just that. It's just a rumor. I would love to see it though. But Joe, what are your ratings? What do you think percentage wise we're actually going to see? What are our chances?
Yeah, I think Star Fox has a fair chance, as we went over. Ocarina of Time this year, I would probably say I'm sitting at a clean. Honestly, I'll probably be around like a 75-80%, just because I'm pretty sure this is its anniversary year. I'm not a big like Zelda person.
It is its anniversary year.
It like falls the same year.
Well, it's the 40th anniversry of Zelda.
Yeah, I believe it's the 40th anniversary. So it's kind of crazy we don't have anything, like literally nothing. So I think that's why I'm so high. But in general, like including next year, I would say I'm almost at a 90-95%, just because we've heard about this for so long. So that's where I stand with that. Now, Black and White, I am low, not as low as you, but just, you know, in the same ballpark. I think I'm at like a 25%. I think that this is something that they've definitely spoken about in Game Freak. You know, internally, this had to have been discussed. It's not like after Diamond and Pearl, they were just like, yeah. Never going to talk about a remake again. So I think the conversation's there. It's just, is it ready? Is it something that they are actively chasing, especially with the Legends games? I don't know. So I'm going to say 25%, just because a little bit of it is optimism. But yeah, that's where I stand with that.
Again, Star Fox is coming. All right, but do you think either of the other two games have a shot? Technically 3, Black and White. But guys, yeah, let us know what you think. We're really interested to hear. And which game are you most excited to play? Let's say all of these games are coming in their best form. Are you most excited for the Star Fox remake? Most excited for Legends of Zelda? We're combining Pokemon and Legends series. Pokemon Legends of Zelda. Anyway,
that'd be amazing.
Ocarina of Time remake, or Black and White remake. Which games would you guys be most excited to play? Let us know. And until then, guys, we are gonna winds and waves on out of here, and we will see you on the next Bros and Badges podcast.